Welcome to Do the Talk podcast. Here at Do the Talk, we teach regular people how to invest in real estate. I am your host, Ibrahim Ojerinde, and my co-host is Amel Awal. We are committed to make real estate investment seamless as much as possible. So if you are trying to learn and grow with us, you have come to the right place. Keep in mind, we've always been saying this. This is not a get rich quick scheme. You have to put in the work. We all have to put in the work. And when you do that, I promise you things will fall in line. Real estate has been proven, tested to be the route, the pathway for financial freedom. We all want to be financially free. We all want to be financially independent. So you have come to the right place. Ahmed, how are you doing today?
Ibrahim, it's been a pleasure to be back.
Yeah,
We as we always do every Friday. This has been going on for a while, and we have to actually give kudos to our audience. We set a goal last week to reach 100 subscriber on YouTube, and we did. We actually did before the end of the year. Thank you guys for doing that.
fantastic, fantastic.
Why you guys subscribe? We want you to come on here and interact with us. That is the more reason why we do this live. Come bring your questions, and let's work together and grow together. Like Ibrahim said, real estate have been proven and tested for 99% of first time millionaires, or even the ones that inherit money in their families. Real estate has always come true. Tax benefits, depreciation, appreciation, equity. Just mention it, right? So
Cost segregation and
yeah, let's all grow together, and that is why we do this. So if you are on here, please and please uh drop your question in the comments, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, we still want to keep growing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. So let's dive into today's topic, Ibrahim. So today is basically letting our audience understand, like, debt is it's inevitable when you do business, right? You
yeah.
need it to exponentially grow.
Mhm.
However, we need to also differentiate the good debt from bad, because we don't just want people to go out there and started getting credit card and be using it for something that is not going to be uh bringing money for them monthly, or with time. So Ibrahim, can you what is your own opinion of a good debt, and what is your own opinion of a bad debt?
Thank you for that. That's a good question. We've always, everyone, we are aware of debt. Now, the goal today is to kind of differentiate and let people know this is the good and this is the bad. It can be a little complex because they sometimes it's interwoven. Like, you know, from outside it looks bad, but if you know why and the main reason why that individual get into, commit his or herself into that debt, then it might sound like, oh, reasonable to you. So,
Absolutely.
and that's the main reason why we are here tonight, just to really give us the insight of what the good and bad will look like. So without further ado, a debt, or let me say a good debt, it is a kind of loan that you acquire to finance an investment that gives you a cash flow or equity. And in fact, you can get the two together. It will give you cash flow and it will give you equity. That is a good debt.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to talk about good and give you an example of the good debt. Then I'll go to the bad. Okay. So I just defined what a good debt will look like. Now, what is a good debt in reality? So, a good debt is, for example, you approach the bank and say, since you've been watching Do the Talk podcast, you've learned from us, you want to grow with us, you approach the bank, you take the bold step and approach the bank and say, hey, I want to buy that investment property. Of course, before you go there, you have done your math. You've seen, you've identified the potential. You've seen that you're gonna get a return of investment of about 12%, 10%, 7%, whatever you are satisfied with.
Yep.
You've seen that. You've seen your return on investment that is tangible enough to take the risk. And you approach the bank assess the house, they check your qualification and everything, they gave you the loan. After the bank give you the loan, you are operating the business and you are cashing out, like you're getting a cash flow of, 10, 5, 7, 8, 15%, whatever percent you're satisfied with. At Do the Talk, we want you to cash flow, but we let you decide which one works for you, because at the end of the day, we cannot tell you this is the percentage you have to get. So
Yep.
for this explanation, let's say you are satisfied with 10% return on investment. You are getting your 10% from the real estate that you bought. And I mean, after paying all the repair, taking money for your maintenance and everything, you get 10% every month. That is a good debt. And again, to further expatiate on that, let's say you've done your assignment, like clear assignment, you completed everything. You bought that house in a neighborhood that we appreciate. So now you are not only getting cash flow, you are also getting equity. Now, because your house is appreciating, is in a good neighborhood, there are a lot of economic activity in that neighborhood or in that area. So your house is getting the equity that you plan, or even more than what you've estimated. So that is a good debt, because in this scenario, you're getting equity and you're getting cash flow.
Yep.
And we say your cash flow is 10%. So that is a good debt. Now, another one is car. Now, this is one of the one that is kind of complex, and you have to really understand it to know if it's a good or bad debt. Let's say I approach a bank that or a car dealer that I want to buy a car. I have $5,000 in my pocket. Of course, I can get a $5,000 car that is decent, that is running, that is good. It might be a used one, of course. It might be 2010, 2009, 7, 12, whatever the situation may be. But I choose to go to the dealership to buy a brand new car. Okay, I pay for the car maybe $28,000, good one with warranty and everything. Now, from afar, it is a bad debt. However, if I have a strong goal of making money with this car, then that car can change to asset. Ask me out. It can change to asset if I use that car. Let's say I put it on Toro and I lease it out to people daily, or whatever the case may be, maybe every week or every 2 weeks. I lease it out on Toro. People are renting the car from me because maybe it's a Mercedes, 27 or $28,000 that I just bought. I list it out, and people are leasing the car and they are paying me. Don't forget, I have 5,000, but I did not buy a car of 5,000 because I believe if I put a car of 5,000 on Toro, nobody will lease it because it will look so regular. So now I'm getting money from Toro, and of course I've done my math and it's cashing. I'm getting a lot of cash flow from there. If the cash flow is big enough, I don't need equity. Because the fact is, you barely get equity on the automobiles anyway. So my goal is not for equity at that point. My goal is more of cash flow. I'm sure you guys are getting to see the difference here, because now I can go just for cash flow, and a car can be, you can, in this scenario, you can use a car and go for just cash flow. As far as you are getting enough cash flow, enough return on your investment, you're able to pay your car note, and you are getting a lot of money, maybe 20%, 15, 18, whatever percentage that works for you. And you are getting that from Toro every month. and you are able to buy another car and put it on Toro again, another one, another one. Now, by the way, Toro is a platform like Airbnb, but Toro is more for vehicle, not for properties. Just so our audience understand that. So if I can buy that car and put it on Toro and get a cash flow, yeah, it's a good debt. Or I purchased the car, then I started Uber. My neighborhood is so busy. I'm not afraid to drive long distance. I'm very mobile and flexible. I go everywhere. I'm making money. It's a good debt. So just so you know, because I bought a car brand new, or it doesn't necessarily make it a bad debt. It depends on the mission and the goal, the end goal of you purchasing that car. Now, let me jump into the bad one. It's just gonna be the opposite, you know. So the bad one can be I purchase a car, like the first explanation I gave. I have my 5 grand in my pocket. Instead of using the 5 grand, I chose to buy a new car, 26, 27, or $30,000. But my goal, it's because I feel maybe embarrassed to drive a car of 5,000, or I feel like I'm too bougie to be driving a car of 5,000, or I care about what my friend, because my friend is driving a Mercedes, so why would I buy a car of 5,000? If that mentality is there, then it's a bad debt, because you are buying the car for just consumption, not for investment. So I'm just driving a brand new car. I ignore the 5,000 I have in my pocket. I save it. I went to get a brand new. I'm not getting any return from the car. No equity, because besides the COVID period, I've not seen any time where your car will appreciate. And the reason for that COVID, it wasn't because of COVID per se. It was because there was a shortage of what do you call this thing? It is a chip for the vehicle. Like, so there's a particular chip that every automobile has to be in the automobile for it to work very well. It's like a brain of the car.
Yeah,
But it was a shortage because
because of
majority
the
of
supply chain.
yes, majority of them are produced in China. So when they was closed down in China and everywhere, it's hard for the automobile company to get those cheap. So because of that, there was like more demand than supply. And of course, we all know economics. Like, if there's too much demand and no enough supplies to catch up with it, then everything will go up. So 2019, 2020, 2021, or up to like 2022, beginning of 2022, it's not a good example for to kind of use that for car. Car will always depreciate, except for the rare limited edition vehicles, like all these luxury vehicles that are very limited, or the very vintage old vehicles. But when you're talking about the regular Mercedes, regular, BMW, Toyota, and all that, it will always depreciate. So let's go to the point. If you are not buying those vehicles for investment, all you are buying it for is because you want to enjoy it. By the way, I'm not saying you cannot buy a vehicle that, your mission is just to enjoy it. That's not the point. The point is that we all get some debt that is bad. Like, as I'm talking to you, I have a credit card and I use it for random stuff that I know it's not necessarily a good debt. But I did that. I know the consequences, and I'm ready to take care of it before it gets to where I don't want it to be, or where the situation I don't want to get into. However, we want you to know the fact that you're able to identify it. It will help you to, handle the situation if needs arises. That's our goal here. So if you can get a car, and if you can put it on Toro or you can do Uber, that's a good one. If you are not gonna do that, it's a bad debt. Don't the goal is to not let too much bad debt in your household. When you have too much bad debt in your household, it might affect the growth of that household. So if you're married, everybody's getting, like, you have a credit card, you are buying something that it will not give you a return, you are not paying. And another thing that I will add to this, like credit card, when people get credit card, it's a bad debt already. Let's say you spend $100, your limit is maybe 300. That's about, it's more than 30% already. So you are getting into bad debt because you've spent more than, first of all, credit bureau will take part of your credit. Now, when you're ready to pay, the company is telling you to pay, minimum of $25, and you are paying $25. I mean, that will not help. Your credit history will not help your score and everything. So you are making the problem, you are making it worse. The best thing is to pay the statement credit. If you don't, I mean, the statement balance. If you don't have the statement balance, you, you should pay as much as you can. That way, you can get out of that debt because it is a bad debt. Now, the exception is if you get a line of credit or credit card and you use that credit card. Let's say you use it to fund, a down payment for a house. Of course, before you do that, you have checked the ROI, you've checked the neighborhood, you've checked you've planned on the kind of people you want to, you want them to occupy your property, like, mid-term, short-term, you've taken care of all that. When you start making money, cash flow from that property, and you are paying back your, credit card as fast as you can, that is still considerable. Like, because you are trying to leverage on your credit card. As long as you plan it right and you are doing it the right way, I can still, it can still be considered a good debt because you have a goal. It get bad, or it will be detrimental in your business if you cannot handle that kind of strategy, because it's a strategy, it's a business strategy where you are taking bad debt and try to leverage it and get money from your other side of business, which is real estate. So, Ahmed, this is where it's getting a little tricky. I just talked about credit card using for good, and this one, people, like, they want to save money for, let's say, um, you want to save money for, let's say, you want to buy furniture and all that, and you don't really want to use, you want to pay from your money. However, you have a big credit card debt, like maybe $2,000 in your credit card, and it's like 20 something percent interest, maybe 20, 24, 26, and all that. Now, we are seeing people saving, they'll start saving that money because they want to buy furniture with their money. However, the credit card you have already, you have like 20 something percent. you know how can you explain, or how can you educate people to first take care of that credit card first before you go to the next one? I mean, what can you say about that?
Absolutely, that's a very great question because a lot of people, including myself, that have done that in so many times, and not until we all get educated about how money works, we don't know. Like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, sure.
If you don't know it, you don't know it. There's no way out of it. So I'm going to answer that question, but real quick, let me answer the question we have
Oh,
from our audience.
I
It
just saw
is
that.
very, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a very good question, right?
very good question. Yeah.
Um, just like Ibrahim mentioned at the beginning of the show tonight, is so good debt is a debt that you get into knowing strategically that you will be able to make money off of that debt that will be enough to
Mhm.
pay the principal, interest, and give you some money back,
Yeah.
maybe today or in the future. So, what is an example of a good debt? Let's say you have a house. You buy a house in a very good neighborhood, right? You finance that house, and even if you live in that house, the house appreciates, because come to think of it, you're going to, if you're living in an apartment, you will pay rent anyways, right? And if you moved out of apartments, you're not getting anything back. But if you live in your house that you bought with debt from bank, and you are moving out, the house appreciated. Now you can sell the house and take the difference with you. The difference is the gain. Government, we call it capital gain, right? In real estate. So that is the capital gain that you make just for living and investing in that house. So the risk that you took is just taking on the debt. So that debt is a good debt. Ibrahim also mentioned an example of buying a car using financing and putting that car on Turo platform, renting that car out to people that want to rent cars. We all know how expensive it can get when you try to rent out a car from all these car rental companies. So, but on Turo, you can actually get the same car that goes for $100 a day at a rental company. You can actually get that car for something around 50, 60, or $70. That is saving you $30 a day. And you are saving $30, but remember, the guy that owns that vehicle also, sorry, I'm trying to, okay, the guy, oh, the person that owns the vehicle is also doing business. If he can make 70 times 10 is going to be 700. I believe his payments might not even be up to 700 a month. That means if he can rent that car out 10 days a month, then the payment is making is covered already. Anything, maybe he rented it for, he rents it out for, let's say 15 days, 20 days, that is 1,004, right? With 1,004, he's making a payment of 600, 700. That means the rest of the money after he take out some expenses like fuel, repair, oil change, he might be pocketing 500 every month. That is a good debt. Because now, come to think of it, you are not paying that 700 out of your pocket. Someone else is actually driving that car, paying you. Maybe you just decided on the weekend you don't want to rent it out on the weekend, and you take it on a cruise just to flex around the city, let people know you have a Ferrari, Lamborghini. Now you can drive an expensive car at the expense of someone else paying for it. That is basically what good and bad debt is all about. So to answer your second question, there are a lot of good debt. The difference between good and bad debt is one is making you money, the other one is not contributing to your financial well-being. So that is basically, just to put it in a layman's term, that is the difference between good and bad debt. The good debt is contributing, bringing you money, contributing to your financial stability, while the bad debt is, costing you money and, draining your bank accounts, and as well as not giving you, because come to think of it, why do we buy new cars that doesn't give us money? Not because we actually want that car like that, but because we want to show our friend that we now got a good job, that, I can now show off. I work in this big company that they pay me this amount of money. So that is basically what Ibrahim was saying. So debt is good when you can master it, when you can leverage it and master that leverage. Don't over leverage debt. When you can master it and use it to your benefit, debt is good. However, learning about good and bad makes a huge difference, because now you know what to invest in, what to use debt for, and what not to use debt for. If you can't afford it, just stay away from it. Except you can find a way. You can actually have a Ferrari, right? If you are renting it out on Turo 5 days a week, you just riding it 2 days, and within that 5 days, you can actually make enough money to cover the payments, interest, and everything. So that money is not coming out of your pocket. Someone else is paying for you. So that is pretty much to to answer your question, Opeyemi Ojo, thank you for actually, bringing that up. That was a very fantastic question. So, to answer your question, Ibrahim, it is really, really difficult when you come from a certain part of the world that credit is not doesn't exist. So managing credit is very, very important, and nobody really sit us down and explain all these things to you. They don't even teach it in schools. That is how bad it is. They don't teach credit, money, and anything related to money in school. So it boils down to you having uh, educating yourself first and having that discipline, because if you are in bad debts, the best thing is to just pay it off. The very best thing is to pay it off, because the earlier you get out of it, the earlier you can start investing in what will actually contribute to your financial well-being, or possibly gets you to attain the financial freedom. So, having a bad debt is something that we all experience at some point, or maybe you even have a credit card, you swipe it right now. That might not be a bad debt, because you still want to build your credit history, right? You have credit card, Ibrahim, you spending it, that doesn't make it a bad debt. If I have the money, I know right now what I do is I spend my credit card, but I make sure I have the money to pay back before I swipe it. Do I do that before? No, I don't. I just spend it. I think I spend it. But one thing that we are all missing is the minute you swipe that card, what you are doing is you are buying that egg of $2 at Walmart. You are buying it at the interest of 29, 20, 23%. So you are let's make it a whole number, like 10. Let's say you bought bread that costs $10 at Walmart. Now you are now going to pay $12. That bread doesn't cost $10, because you are using credit card that have a percentage interest rate of 20%. Now you are buying that bread for $12. Imagine if you buy a couch in your house with a credit card that is 4,000. Couch is now very expensive, 4,000, 5,000. Now what you are doing is that couch is now actually 4,008. It's not 4,000. It's not just 4,000. Forget about the taxes. I'm talking about the interest that you are going to pay on that credit card. So it is not wise to use credit card to do things like that. It is actually wise to have the money, use credit card, and pay it back immediately. Because now it is called revolving. If you don't use it, they're going to close it down. So you still have to keep activities running, maybe once or twice a month, but you don't want to swipe it and leave it there and go and be spending money on something else. If you swipe it, you want to make sure you pay it back as soon as possible, so that the 30% that Ibrahim discussed earlier doesn't affect you. Because the minute that you cross that threshold of 30%, now you will be having some how will I put it? Credit utilization will be spiking up, and once you go to bank, you want to get a loan or something like that. Once they spot that high utilization, that even before you go and inquiry about a loan or anything, that automatically drop your score. Has this happening ever happened to me? Yeah. So I'm not saying I'm perfect or something like that, but what we are trying to explain is knowing this is a very pivotal point in your financial stability, in your financial freedom, in your financial future. Because once you learn all these money strategies, you can actually play the rich game. The rich get in debt too, but not the debt of using their credit card to buy couches, not in debt of using their credit card to buy watch, not using their credit card to buy something that will not bring that kind of return. So, Ibrahim, do you have any addition to
Oh,
the point?
yes. Now that you are going in depth into it, so I kind of feel like, wow, let me add this. This is very important. So now I want to talk about the common mistakes that I'm privileged to be, helping people to buy house. You guys all know I'm a realtor. So this is the common thing that I observe. Um, so let's say I'm gonna make it I'm gonna put it in a scenario. So I have money to pay my credit card, like I want to buy something, and I have that money, and I have a credit card. My credit card limit is $1,000. I want to buy something of $700, and I actually have that money in my pocket, in my account, and I have my debit card. But the fact that I do not have this knowledge or anything, I'll go ahead. Okay. So some people out there will go ahead and spend $700 in their credit card. But when that person gets home, he or she paid the money back, even not even before 30 days. Now, the person did well by paying back. But the problem is when credit bureau sees you spend more than 30%, right away, they take part of your point. Now, if you set your credit card to like a automated kind of like alerting system and everything, there are some settings you can do with Credit Karma or like Experience, Equifax, and all those company. It will actually tell while you are swiping your card, you will see a message right away, like it will alert you. Why did they do that? The reason why your credit it will affect you is because first of all you spend more than 30%, which you just explained. Another reason is because if they don't do that, let's say the system is not like that, and I spent $700, that means I only have $300 left in that 1,000. It means I can equally go to another place, spend that $300 again, and let's say my credit is still the same, then I'll use that same credit score that I have and apply for another credit card and spend, 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 spend. So that is why credit bureau they don't and they the way they are operating now, they don't wait until 30 days. They don't wait to report. They look at your activity daily. And if they notice that you are spending more than 30% bracket, they will penalize you right away. Because I'm not sure, but I'm guessing some people might have take advantage of that system where every 30 days they will report and everything, and they can just accumulate different kind of credit card and swiping. So now the way it is now, they definitely go after you right away, even if you're gonna pay that money back the next day. So let me give an example here. Let's say you spend the $700 right away, the credit bureau might take 20 points or 10 points from your credit score. If you pay that money back that day or the next day, they will not give you point that day or the next day until that end of the month. They'll give you maybe 10 point or 15 point back. So if you're lucky, you might get just 5 points in that month. But let's say you go to that Walmart, you want to buy $700 stuff. Tell them, hey, I'm going to pay $250 with my credit card, and I'm going to pay $450 with my debit card. Or I use my debit card for everything. So if you do that, the credit bureau will not think anything. They will not take anything from your credit. It will still be, the same because you are still below the threshold. Now, you are below the threshold. At the end of the month, you get maybe 15 point or 20 point. If you look at the two scenario, the other person spends 700, he or she pays back right away. Like she paid the money back the next day or that very day because she thought, okay, if I just pay it back here, it's the same thing because the person has zero debt. You as well, maybe you wait till the end of the month, you pay your money back, you have zero debt, but you have more credit than the other person because in the first person violated the threshold, went ahead and spent more than the 30%. So in this scenario, you gain point. The other person may not even gain any point because the point they gave you back is like they are replacing what it took from you when you overspent. So, and I've seen this a lot. And what I get from most people is that, oh yeah, I pay it back, or I plan to pay it back, or I pay the next day. But I say, yeah, you pay, but the problem is you've already passed that limit at that moment. So my point here is that we need to pay attention to how we use this credit card because sometimes it just affects you when you are not expecting it to come. It bites you in the butt when you don't, you would never think, because you have planned, you want to do this, you want to do that, but plan change. Like, okay, you might be thinking, okay, in the next 3 months I want to start this business or I want to buy this house, but then next month things you know change and you have that opportunity and you're ready to go. However, your credit will be the problem just because you did not utilize it very well. The goal here is for us to be aware that good debt, bad debt, it does they both exist, and we have to be able to identify the good one and how we can eliminate or avoid or reduce the bad debt. It's very hard for you to zero it out, very very hard, but at least if we are aware of it, and that way we can utilize our debt or manage our debt very well. Ahmed, so my question would be, how like we how do I say this? So I have a car, and that car is my personal car, but now I want to upgrade. And I go to the dealership, and you tell them you want to upgrade. It's still for you go to the dealership, you tell them you want to get another car, they trade it in, and you get another one, and all of them is still, you are not doing business with the car and everything. So what would you advise someone with that? I mean, the car is still running, still good. Would you advise them to sell the car first, and when they sell the car, maybe they can use the money to buy you know what they like, or just keep using the car instead of getting the new one without getting into another bad debt? Because in this scenario, that person is not using it for any investment, um, activity. So what do you think?
So, this is based on my opinion. It's not backed with any facts.
Sure.
So, if you are using your car to go to work, that's, in my opinion, is not a bad debt, because you are actually moving from your house, going to work, and making money, coming back home. Uh, I would say the best way to go about it is to make sure you stay within your limits.
Sure.
If 2,000 is what you can afford in your bank account, buy a car of 2,000.
Good.
That is the best case scenario. But we all know that we never do that. We always want to do more than ourselves. So um, it is never advisable to go and buy something that doesn't make any difference just because you just want to upgrade. Is it still working? Yes. Is it taking you to where you are going? Yes. Is it giving you a problem? If all that is yes, 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 I don't see any reason why you need to upgrade. At some point, if you now have sufficient money that you think, okay, maybe I now have 10,000, I can afford to spend five on a car. Yes, you might upgrade, but going into debt just to upgrade your car, and the one you are riding before, the one you own before, doesn't have any issue, in my opinion, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, have I done that before? Yes. Will I do it now or tomorrow? Never. Never. If a car is giving me problem, like I have to go to mechanic every 2 weeks and pay them $300, then that doesn't make sense because now in 2 months I can that is coming up to 1,002. That 1,002, if I put that together for like another 2 3 months, then I might be able to buy a good car. So why do I need to keep going? So I can go and get a car, finance it if I don't have money. That will, because I want to get out. I want to get away from something that is giving me problem, that is actually taking a whole lot of money from me. But remember, the goal here is not working. You can't go to work because this car breaks down and you have to call off because you don't have anything to take you to work, or you end up taking Uber and stuff like that. So you want to get away from it, so you can, yeah, that is fine. That is not actually an upgrade. You are running away from something that is costing you money, so that is cost efficient. That makes financial sense, right? But if you are if that is not the case, the car is perfectly working, you just decide that, okay, because now I get a 50 cents raise, or I get a 75 cents raise, or I get a $1.50 raise at work. Now I want to upgrade my car just to reflect the pay that I'm now receiving. Come to think of it, when you get a raise, now you have the opportunity to save more than what you are saving before, so that you can invest more. But if you go get in another bad debt, that takes away the money, the raise that you just received. Even it's probably going to take away more, that now you have little or less to save. So financially, it doesn't make any sense to upgrade if you don't need to. It's actually advisable to live below your means so that you can invest enough that will bring you enough money, enough return, enough cash flow to be able to afford those things. It- Living large is not the problem. It's not an issue. That is not what we are preaching. But living below your means to the point that you are able to afford those things without uh, putting a huge debt on yourself is what we are advising against. Don't put unnecessary debt under your name, on your credit, something, because things happens, right? Uh, the companies, whenever they deem it fit to cut workers, they do. So if that happens, your company downsize, and now you have to go look for another job. It takes you 2 months before you find another job. You go into default. These guys come after you, taking that car from you. Stuff like that will take you way uh and it's going to affect your credit. So Ibrahim, real quick,
Mhm.
is there any advantage at all to bad debt?
Advantage. Um, well, I think the advantage is if you are using that. Okay, maybe I shouldn't. Then you won't. I will say no, no advantage, because if you say advantage to bad debt, then I won't call it bad debt. It will become good debt. So if it's real bad debt, there's no advantage to it. But if it's a debt that it looks bad from outside, but because what you are using it for, it's actually good. Yeah, I mean the advantage is,
Give us an example of that.
okay. Example of that I would just mention. It's mostly something, it looks bad from outside, which is, I buy a beautiful Corvette. Everybody's gonna look at that. Hold on, why you? This guy is probably gonna, it's probably financing this Corvette because it doesn't, from outside you cannot tell that I'm using it for maybe Turo, or I'm using it for um, some kind of special rental for people that come to my Airbnb, or like, something like that. So it won't be obvious from outside. So people will kind of assume that it is a bad debt from outside. But if they know what I'm doing with it, and I know I'm cash flowing from this vehicle, then on my side it's a good debt. And if they know, the ones that I understand will understand it's a good debt. So
Absolutely.
a debt that looks bad, is there any advantage to it? When in real life it is a good debt, yeah. You have tax write-off because you're actually using that money for business. You know, But or let's say, you know, I, I have a truck. It's I write it off on my real estate income. You know, I can choose to, after 2 years, I can choose to buy another truck if I feel like. Here's the thing: if I feel like it's still gonna be within my write off, you know, I can choose to buy another one. Because if I don't do that, here's the thing: I have to account that money to the IRS. I have to say, IRS, hey, I make this, I make that. Okay, so a vehicle can be a great deduction for me. That's why when you see investors or people that are doing business,
When we see you coming, we see your truck.
they write off, you know, they try to take any deduction as much as possible. Now, the reason why you're taking all
D
these,
already came for you.
yeah, so you take deduction as much as possible as long as it's working with your business. Because for me, truck helps my business because I'm using on both sides. With me as a realtor, I've seen a lot of people say, oh yeah, they like that. The other side, which is my property, I use it to move furnitures and use it to move, you know, um, even up to like appliances and all that. Sometimes I move it myself. So it's very valuable and is useful in my businesses. So for me, that's a good debt. But
Before
without it,
you,
okay, go ahead.
yeah, I just want to wrap everything up in one. So, what will be an advantage of good debt?
Okay. So yeah, that would be the, yeah, perfect question. So good debt, the advantage is that first of all, if you use it well, since we label it as a good debt, we are assuming that you use it right, because that's what make it qualifies to be a good debt. You get tax benefit first. Second, you are able to grow your business, expand your business to the kind of level that you know, I don't know, maybe the way you are planning to be, you put all the hard, um, your time, your energy, and everything, and you use that money to leverage. The benefit is that your business will grow. You are getting cash flow. You probably getting equity or maybe just cash flow, depending on what kind of business you are doing. So the benefit is that you are leveraging other people's money to make money, because credit card, by the way, it's other people's money. So you are using that to make money, to expand in your business, to become financially independent. There's nothing wrong with that. I support good debt all day or every time because I have benefited from it. I am still benefiting from it. So I like good debt. Is there
Absolutely.
any situation where I would recommend anybody to pay off their debt? You will only pay off your debt when it's needed. If your debt, if you don't have to pay it off, and you know you are benefiting from it, because you need tax write-off. That's the fact. If you're a business person, you need to find a way to be writing off taxes, and debt can be a good source of deduction, because at the end of the day you have to show IRS what you make. You can, I mean, you cannot make 5 million and you tell IRS you only make 2 million without showing deductions. You have to show this deduction. Oh, I repaired my house with this. Oh, I bought a tractor with this. Oh, I bought a Lamborghini with my Turo with this. And my maintenance is this and that. You have to show all that to the IRS. So that can be a good, I mean, we all know this legend, Robert Kiyosaki. That's all he always advised. You use debt to make money. Use debt to stabilize your finances, stabilize your family, stabilize, you know, your economic status and everything. You know, so that a good debt is good when you use it right, and which is, of course, that is what makes it qualify as a good debt, just because of the way you use it. I don't know
Absolutely.
if I answer your question well, but it's kind of
That is absolutely perfect. I just have a quick addition to that. So you already mentioned tax deduction, which is a absolutely fantastic benefit of using debt. Because if you use your money, now you will be paying tax on that money.
yeah.
That is how it works. But if you use other people's money, what we are calling debt, is it's not taxable because imagine you go to bank and you loan 100,000 from them, and the government say, give me 40,000 out of that 100,000. It doesn't make sense, right? Because you are still going to pay back that money. And what make it good is you are not the one paying it back. The tenants, the people that rent your car on Turu, the people that drive your truck and bringing you money, those are the people that are paying for it.
Yes.
You are not paying for it. What you are gaining is cash flow and equity at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's very, very good tax advantage. Another thing is you are using other people's money, just like Ibrahim called it, to build your own assets.
Yeah.
You are using other people's money to build your assets. So it's a very good thing to do. However, this is my own side of it, which is the disadvantage of it. If you over leverage debt,
Yeah.
it can be costly if something goes sideways.
Yeah.
That is why you see people that, investor approach for a subject to, because they just got into that house. They don't have any equity yet. So since they don't have any equity now, if they want to sell that house, that means they don't have enough money to cover all the expenses, capital gain, agents, all the agents fee, taxes, and all that need to be paid off. So it is a crucial time for them, and it is a crucial, if it is very crucial if you want to buy a house, to make sure that you have multiple exit strategy, even if it is your primary resident, because things happens, right? I'm working in Indianapolis. I'm getting paid 60,000 a year. The same job, they call me to come and do it in Texas. They're going to be paying me 120. I look at the situation, I'm still going to be paying about the same mortgage in Texas. So why don't I just move to Texas and go and be getting, the job of 120,000? So if you want to move, but you just bought your house last year, that house doesn't have enough equity to cover all the expenses of selling your house. Now, if you don't have any backup plan, if you sell that house at that point, you will cut a check to sell your own house. You will pay to sell your own house. That might make it turn a bad debt. That is over leveraging it, because now you hold almost entire uh, uh, value of the asset, which is like over leveraging. If only you can hold that house for a little while. We all know real estate goes up and down, but it will always go up. So at some point, you will be able to sell that house and make sure that you profit from it. So over leveraging of debt can be very, very costly. I just bring that example of that is not always the situation, but over leveraging is just as simple as if you owe the amount of the value of that asset and something now goes sideways, then you don't have any leverage in there. You don't have any control over that asset to tweak it sideways, sell it, and do whatever you want to do. So you just got a new car today, you drive it out of the dealership, that car already depreciated. You don't own it enough, and now you want to sell it back. You're probably not going to sell it at the same price again. Everybody knows that about car. You're not going to be able to sell it at the same price again. Now we have to come in with the difference. That is exactly the same thing with the house too. If a house is over leveraged and something goes sideways that you have to sell, now you have to call check to sell it. So, and that is not the kind of investment that we want. We want you. That is why we also advise that we own it. You own a house long time, you play a long time game, you buy in a neighborhood that you feel comfortable with and you think you want to hold property long time. So Ibrahim, now that we are coming to the end of the show, so we've talked about good debts, bad debts, the advantage, the disadvantage, what the cost and all that might be. what I'm trying to get to now is, so if someone have a bad debt right now, bad debt that have a potential of being converted to good debt, what would be your advice? Or even if it is, if there's no potential to convert it, what would be your advice at this? Because see, I have debts that I'm paying off right now too. But with my financial knowledge, with my financial literacy right now, I can identify it. Some people can't even identify it. What will be your advice to people that are in the same situation right now, but they don't know how to pivot it, they don't know how to bring it back to their advantage and all that? What would be your advice?
Yes, thank you for that question. So, my advice will be, if it's something that you can convert to a good debt, I will tell you to go ahead, do not hesitate, go ahead and do it. For example, of we talked about a car. You have a car, you are doing normal job, you have some time in your hands. Like let's say, you finish work very early every day and you have weekend free, um, you know, your family, they understand, or you are yet to marry, you just have a lot of time on your hand. You can literally start doing Uber or Lyft or medical transportation or anything like that. So technically you are using that car, and that car is bringing some cash flow every week,
Which can be
or
right off.
yes, every 2 weeks. You are making money, or you can do Amazon Flex. You are making money. Now you have a tax write-off. You are making money. Now the car has changed totally to a good debt, because now it's not a bad debt anymore, because you are making money with that car. Just like the one you gave as an example. You are doing a job. Your job is a contract job. Let's say you are a nurse and you have to drive to another city and all that stuff. You are able to write off your gas and everything. Guess what? That is not a bad debt. That is now a good debt. So, but let's say you are in a situation where there's no way you can change it. I mean, there's always a way, but you cannot afford to make it a good debt and it's a bad debt. Then all you have to do is try as much as possible and pay this card to at least to the bare minimum, the minimum of like 28% or less. I recommend 30 or less. Actually, I recommend 20 or less, but the credit bureau likes to see 30% or less balance on your credit card. So as long as you can keep your balance less than 30%, you should be fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But here I do the talk. Our first advice, or the one that I'm really, the one that I support right now, is find a way to convert, or change that bad debt into a good debt. We all can do. We all this. There's an adage that says, whatever you like, or something that you cherish, you will always find time for it. So there's a possibility that if you really really want to convert it, you can convert it to a good debt. You might have to make some adjustment, but yeah, it's doable. If you do that, not only that you have a tax deduction, not only that you have cash flow in your pocket, guess what? Your debt will now become a good debt. Even though you are concerned, you are worried, that's a bad debt, you are paying high interest, the car is depreciating every day, and you are very concerned. Guess what? You can change it to a good debt if you can take just few steps by registering your car for maybe Turo, or maybe from Uber, maybe Amazon Flex and all that, and you'll be good. So that's my advice. I don't know if that will work. Or let's say you have a bad debt, um, you bought a house, your personal home, but you have a lot of space. Okay, you have one room. Go to Furnish Finder. Go to this. Go to other platform. They are there to help you list your house, get people in, get some cash. You are turning it to a good debt. Moreover, you've bought in a good location anyway, so it's already arguably it's already a good debt. Now you're making it even a better debt. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
yeah, so there's always a way out. We just have to keep learning, keep coming to do the top podcast, because our goal here is to make sure we all get financial literacy, like we get this financial education. At the end of the day, we want to grow together. So we appreciate you
Well,
guys coming,
absolutely.
and we want to keep seeing you guys every Friday so we can all learn and grow together. So Ahmed, I mean, our audience, I mean, they really, I can tell that, this education, it's, very valuable, and they would like to know, if they want to contact you, how can they reach out to you?
You can always reach me on my Instagram account, official Ahmed Lawal. I'm very active on there. I make sure that I respond to any inquiry, as well as you can call me. 765-240 7932. So call me on that line, and I'm always available to answer any question. I'm happy to help anybody. Also, if you have any property that you want to rent out, but maybe you don't have the time and all that. So even if you have the time, management of a property by a management company take the stress off you. So if you have any property that you think you need the management for, that is what we do full time, every day, day in, day out. So please reach out. I will be happy to go over what the scenario is, and give you a free consultation. It doesn't necessarily have to give us the house on that spot. Well, let's talk about it. Let us advise you on how you can get multiple strategy implemented in that property, and potentially increase your cash flow. Let's say you are making 200, 300 on that house every month. We can potentially increase it to 500, 600, 800. So if that sounds like you, or it sounds like something you want, please reach out to me, give me a call, and I will be glad to evaluate your situation. We have a tailored solution for everybody. We know everybody's investment strategy is going to be different, investment goal is going to be different. So we are not saying that this is what we are giving to everybody. No, we have to listen to you, understand where you're coming from, and build a tailored solution for you. So please reach out, and I'll be glad to help. Ibrahim, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they do so? You are muted.
Yeah. Thank you for that. You can go to my Instagram and DM me, IB Rotos, or you can call me 317-728-0213. Anything concerning real estate, I'm more than happy to help. You
Absolutely.
just heard it from a property manager over there. It's an investor, it's a property manager. If you have any property, it's causing you headache, your tenants are not complying and everything, he will guide you how you can better manage the property. Especially if you really want to take your end off the property, all you have to do is give him a call. He will handle the property, show you how you can leverage, because real estate, there are a lot of strategies, so
Absolutely.
because you are getting 200, 300, that doesn't mean it's over. Trust me, there are a lot of different angles where you can leverage and get more money. So, and it's not just about money. Think about the peace of mind. you know the manager would take care of all that, like repair, maintenance, and all that. That's part of their job. Their job is to source valuable, good, reliable tenants for you. They know they have the resources. So he's gonna take care of that. All you have to do is give him a call, and just forget about all the headaches. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
absolutely.
We are out of time, so we'll see you guys next week, Friday.
Thank you guys for coming, and thank you for subscribing. If you know anybody that haven't subscribed yet, please send them the link, let them subscribe. We appreciate you guys. We already hit our goal for this year, but that's not the end, right? We want to keep reaching more people, so we are targeting 1,000 before the end of the year. Ibrahim, are we good for that? Are we going to be able to do it? All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.